Agent Kelm, Episode 3. It all goes cold. My job title is Disconnect Specialist, Level 4, which is really just a corporate euphemism for we don't like to say murder. They trained me to say it's customer service, and technically it is. The customer just happens to be dead, and the service is deletion. Permanent. Unsubscribe from existence. Push and hold until your grandfather stops buffering. I started in racks, not a metaphor. Physical racks. Steel, humming, rack-mounted EchoBoxes in closets, and sanctuaries and underground civic chambers cooled by recycled guilt. Back then, I wasn't allowed inside the dreams. I wore gloves, tight ones. You don't want biogel under your fingernails. It smells like old mouths and childhood trauma. My job was maintenance, stabilize temperature, clear filters, log drift. Replace components when the nuclear chip blinked red instead of blue. I once had to extract a cockroach from the cooling duct of a V4.7 that belonged to a retired music teacher. The brain kept hallucinating the cockroach into her memory loop, turning it into a recurring suitor. That was flagged as a romance violation. Required a full system flush and a stern email to her daughter about safe storage practices. Another time, a homeowner used a whole roll of quiet seal duct tape to wrap a V5.2 to the outside of their fridge because it sounded like company. That box ran hot, drifted fast, and started interpreting fridge sounds as war drums. The brain developed a tribal hierarchy of mayonnaise jars and ketchup versus mustard wars. When we finally pulled the plug, the ketchup was winning. External environment can cause issues too. It's like reality leaks into the brain in the box. Once, I serviced a V3.9 installed inside a child's toy chest. Family said it was for the atmosphere. Problem was, the brain belonged to a middle-aged accountant who'd never interacted with a toy in his life. The Echo got bored and started rearranging the stuffed animals into a jury in his mind. Every night, he'd put on a trial. Charges varied: tax fraud, emotional neglect, attempted murder via licorice rope. One night, the verdict came back guilty on all counts, and he executed the teddy bear with a Lego guillotine. I had to confiscate the entire chest and file a symbolic violence report. Then there was the hoarder unit. V4.4 jammed into a basement full of expired cereal boxes and broken microzaps. The brain started scanning its environment, integrating all the trash into its dream. It built a cathedral out of old ramen cups and worshipped a statue made from 14 busted toasters. By the time I arrived, the unit was pulling power from the dehumidifier to simulate an indoor storm. Rain, thunder, communion service, everything. I almost let it slide. It was creative. But it had a moldy, broken seal, so policy said, flush it. And I'll never forget the one kept in a public library, running for 15 years without a license. The custodian thought it was an interactive history kiosk. In reality, it was a deceased amateur historian replaying the same lecture about a local Civil War skirmish. The Echo had rewritten the outcomes so many times the Union lost in some versions, the Confederates won in others, and in one branch, the war was decided by a chess match between Abraham Lincoln and a crow. Patrons loved it. Kids would sit for hours, listening to Lincoln caw strategy moves in perfect bird mimicry. He had also memorized every good cartoon from the past 100 years. That one, I almost asked to keep. But like everything else, it went cold.